Hi guys and welcome back to the Cassit Nair. I'm super excited to have you all back on the show. So today's episode, for quality assurance purposes and audio fidelity, you might be hearing some lags because this was recorded via Zoom. Most times we wonder what molds decision until they become achievable. Most times we wonder what sorts our goals until we become too disciplined towards it. Without a second guess, one's mind will be fixed on the power of intention. The power of intention cannot be overestimated as it remains a primary ingredient for success. The power of intention also gives an answer to the whys in our lives. Why are you a student? Why do you learn the skills you do? Why did you choose the career path? And so much more. So join us as we discuss the topic, the power of intention, with a remarkable personality today, Chika Obani. I call him Uncle C. Chika Obani is a peoplepreneur, bridge fellow, global shaper, public speaker, leader, asset integrity engineer at Shell SPDC, Toastmaster, and podcaster. He is driven by his passion for creating solutions through strategic collaborations, as this led him to study engineering and transit into asset integrity space of the energy industry. His passion is also reflected in all his activities, from taking up leadership roles across diverse global organizations like the Global Shapers Forum, the African Youth and Governance Convergence, Toastmasters International, Energy Institute, Society of Petroleum Engineers, National Association of Corrosion Engineers, and the NSC, to developing a podcast with the aim to connect with more people. One of his favorite quotes is, "Tools don't solve problems, people do. Sustainable systems are built on efficient mindsets." He is none other than Chika Obani. Before we dive into the conversation, let's go on a quick commercial break. We will be right back after the break. Are you looking for an organization, society, and club that teaches public speaking in its full capacity, as well as leadership skills? One where you can combat fear, build confidence, sharpen leadership abilities, improve improvisation, improve communication, and expand your network. Toastmasters International is here for you. Toastmasters International is a US headquartered non-profit educational organization that operates clubs worldwide for the purpose of promoting communication, public speaking, and leadership. In the same vein, Oyo City Speakers Club is here for you as a local club to support you. We are located in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. For more information, please call 0818-096-9629 and follow up on our Instagram account for details as well at Oyo City Toastmasters. Oyo City Toastmasters, unleashing eloquence. Thank you so much, Uncle C. I call him Uncle C, but his real name is Mr. Chika Obani, so I call him Uncle C. Thanks so much, Uncle C, for joining this session. Thanks so much for honoring our invitation. The cast today is super grateful. Okay, so the power of intention, some people think is just like normal intention, or we think that the word is not that deep as compared to like just the name intention. The intention I have towards you, I intended to do this, and being intentional about something or whatever, but it goes way deeper than just the name. They forget that the word intention and its power cannot be overemphasized, as it defines a lot of things in our lives. It shapes a lot of things in our lives. So I'm going to start up already, but with this question firstly. Can you describe intention, the word intention, and what it means to be intentional?
All right. Thank you very much, Naya, and thanks a lot for the privilege to be on the cast today with you. And also, more thanks to the topic which we are both supposed to explore, even with our audience. We are speaking to intention, and you have asked for me to try to give a definition, a sort of a basis that we can define intention by, upon which we can build our conversation following.
Yes, exactly.
So as the word intention stands, in my opinion, and also based on a quick Google search that one can easily do, you just realize that an intention is meant to describe an aim or a plan.
Okay.
A process to achieving a goal. And when we now decide to say, okay, how is a person being intentional? So it means that a person is radically focused on trying to achieve a particular aim or plan. But I would like to share also that when you do look at the dictionary, there is another definition that struck me when I saw it.
Okay.
In medicine, based on this dictionary, in medicine, intention could also mean the healing process of a wound.
Wow.
And I think that is quite interesting, right?
Because the healing process of a wound.
Yes. You just run a Google search right now.
Are you serious?
Yes, just do that. You see there, caption under medicine, the healing process of a wound. So I think the idea is in life, when a man is born, there are usually gaps at every point in time. What do I mean by gaps? The fact that you would always recognize that you're at a point A and there's a point B that you're supposed to get to. And then there's meant to be a process. The process of you moving from point A to point B can simply be categorized or characterized as intention.
Intention.
Right? That I am currently now in Pitodili and I want to get to Rumogba. I want to get to 20 Road. The process of moving from where I am to getting to my destination is that intention. And achieving it shows that I am intentional about getting to that point B.
Wow. Thank you so much, Uncle C. So you can see now from the definition that the power of intention is not a child's play. It's something that is way more deeper than we expect. So, I mean, the medicine own is still like, I'm still trying to understand it, but I'm going to check the healing process of a wound.
Yes.
So, getting from, that's the whole process. Like, you use the instance of from getting from point A to point B. So, like, that actually explains that the medical parts, because the healing process. So, the stages from where the freshness to when it's now completely getting dried. That's the movement that's the transitioning. Okay, right. So it's making more sense. Thank you so much, Uncle C. Now, what's the power? So, what's the power of intention, and why is it important to mankind?
So, for me, based on the basis which we have already defined, the boundaries. The power of intention lies in the ability to achieve what one sets to achieve. That's where it lies, and the idea is, when we say why is it important, I think there are certain laws that kind of fix the boundaries to which we exist. So, for instance, the reason why we might talk of all the planets we have discovered so far and why the Earth seems to be peculiar or spectacular is because there are certain things that have come together within particular boundary to ensure that life can be supported on our beautiful planet. And it's also the same thing with the concept of intention. It is such a law like gravity. Whether you believe in gravity, whether you have studied gravity in physics or not, it stays there as a law. And that is why if you do not have the requisite instruments or components like such as we find in a plane or in a propulsion engine to keep your equipment afloat, everything that goes up will definitely do what come down. Whether you do believe in it or not. And that is the same idea with being intentional or having an intention. Because if you do not define what your goal is, if you do not understand what your intentions are, there is still an intention at play. So you could be intentional at being ignorant as to where you are going to, or you are still going somewhere.
Okay.
So it's closely tied to the whole idea of how what we consume and the habits that we engage in affect the outcomes that we see in our life. And if we really want to see change, then we need to be much more aware of the intentionality that go on within our subconscious.
Wow, wow, wonderful. So you made mention of goal at some point, and during my research concerning this topic, I found out that goal is somehow in the place of intention, like they're in the same WhatsApp group, same as affirmations. So at what point does your goal meet with intention, or like are they somehow similar? Can you just expatiate on goal and intention? Well, at what point does your goal meet with your intention?
All right, so trying to bring together an idea that can really work for us. I think let's look at it like, since we are both science students, in that, the first law of thermodynamics tells you that energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
Created nor destroyed.
From one form
to another. Yes.
So what it means is the energy, in quotes, I might be wrong, so you can also test my presumption. The energy that you and I both run on, one angle, is actually solar energy. How do I mean? So if you remember
solar energy.
Yes, so if you remember the energy cycle that you did in integrated science, so the sun interacts with the plant, and the plant, through the process of photosynthesis, converts sunlight into food. Then the cow eats the plant. That sunlight has been transformed in the plant. Now it's transformed into the cow. And then we eat and take in protein, which is now broken down and then becomes energy. So essentially, where is the source? The original energy source? Sunlight. I think that is the same kind of relationship that we have with what you have spoken about: goals, intention, affirmation, habits, etc.
Yes.
Man is a going concern. The moment you are born, there are things you want to achieve. And for you to be able to achieve it, you need to go through a process. So your goal is the outcome, which you are hoping to arrive at. And then the process of arriving at that outcome is supposed to define the concept of intention. Now, when you unbundle the concept of intention, so many activities come together to define what you're intentional about. So it could be the activity of developing daily affirmations. It could be the activity of tweaking the habits that you have around you. It could also be the activity of changing an environment. It could be the activity of taking decisions or making decisions or having an execution plan or drawing up a timetable or creating a Gantt chart or a WBS, a work breakdown system, whatever it is. All of that flows together the same way solar energy flows through all beings and opens up our vision to see exactly where we are going to. I don't know if my illustration makes sense. So, but I think that's how to describe that at this moment.
It does. So where does affirmation come into the place, into the whole scenario? Because I think they are somehow connected. Intention, affirmation, manifestation.
Okay, so this is going a bit very metaphysical, and it might not be what I had assumed that this session would be like. But no problem. Let's take a stab at it.
What do you assume us to see? Remember, don't worry. We're like graduating very soon. Maybe I think I understand what you're saying, but don't worry, we're getting there.
All right. So no issues at all. I would love to tell a story, right? Okay. That would kind of put, because I have given an illustration. The first illustration I gave was moving from point A to point B, and then you talk about the process. And then I've gone for that to say, if we say that process is intention, and you unlock it and you unbundle it, you find out that there are so many things that make up your intention or can help define what it is you're intentional about. And that's where we speak about affirmation and the rest. So a very good example that comes to my mind, right, is back in 2011, while I was still an undergraduate student of the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, reading materials and metallurgy back then in school. By the time we got into 400 level, we had the opportunity of going through CWAs in our second year and our third year. And one of the assumptions that many people easily accepted as part of their mindset or a belief system was that, it's almost impossible for you to get an IT place that first relates to what you are studying and secondly would pay you. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
So a lot of people even did all kinds of stuff. We had people who did not go to IT, produce their own stamps, stamp their own logbooks, filled it and submitted, and all of those kinds of things. But I remember back then that I don't know what it was. I got a kind of I think the first thing was I experienced a contradiction, because in my second year and third year IT, I actually found positions where I was paid a stipend, even though it wasn't up to what I wanted. And then getting into 400 level, a new information came to me that there was a possibility for one to actually get an IT place and be paid and also learn and acquire good experience. I realized that having accepted that information and made it my own truth, certain things changed about me. And in focus, that meant that my intention also changed. Yeah. So I wasn't just being intentional of getting an IT place. I now had a specific kind of IT place I wanted. And to program myself to only see that vision, to only see that goal, that outcome, I realized that being a Christian, most of my prayer points were then, look, I'm going to get an IT place and it's going to be the amount they are going to pay me. I'm going to get an IT. And to be truthful to you, I didn't really have an idea of what kind of IT, of where that IT place existed. But I knew because of whatever information that came to me at that time that this was all I kept speaking about. So it didn't matter what anybody was saying. I just kept saying, look, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And that was the affirmation, or that's the affirmation bit. And why the affirmation happened that way is because there was now an intention playing in my subconscious. And that intention was I needed to get an IT place that would give me experience and also pay me. Lo and behold, my sister, it happened though. It happened. I did get an IT place and I was paid. I was paid really well. And I also got good experience. Good experience that showed up in how I showed up in my final year back then. So I hope my story has been able to tie everything together. It's a process, and the process of building an intention has a lot of prerequisites. Yes. Some of the kind of information you consume, and the information that comes out of the information you have consumed, or the information that comes out of your reflection, your personal reflection. It happens on the basis of the mindset you are growing.
Yes.
And then all of that converges at a point which is supposed to be your set outcome or goal, which you are working towards.
Yes. So I was even about coming to that question, that what drives your intention or what builds your intention? But I think you've answered it, yes, a bit.
So what drives my intention? What drives my intention?
What drives your intention? Your goal.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's because if you don't put me on the spot. Your goal, yes. So because you know where you want, that's why it's very important to set out goals too. So you cannot have an intention if there's no goal. Because the goals are what drives the intention, and the intentions are what drives manifestation.
Yeah. But just to be clear as well, right? So that we can be able to help ourselves, because there are a lot of us who have set goals, including myself. Yeah, I have some goals I've set this year, which I'm not in driving to.
It's not only you.
You understand? Right. Everybody. So the idea is, so in setting your goals, right, part of the process of intentionality is actually a change of mindset.
Yes.
And how do you change your mindset? It actually starts with the kind of information you consume. Because the information you have on a particular thing is what becomes the basis for your knowledge. And when knowledge is strong enough, it becomes belief. And once you have that belief, then you can run against any goal. We set a lot of goals and we don't have that goal as a belief. So I can tell you goals that I have set and I was able to overcome it despite all odds, because at that point it was like, look, this is my final bus stop. There is, in fact, any information I'm looking for has to address this particular goal I have. It's not going outside of it. There is no space for conversation. And then there are some which I have left open to, maybe not, did not place the right amount of priority on it, so that all of my activities are fine-tuned to only trying to achieve it. And they lag. So it's important for us to understand that the power of intention also has a lot to do with what you consume and what you believe. The strength of
belief system, very important. Yes,
it powers your intention. So those are accounts that would make you watch the kind of things you talk about, or the kind of things you agree to, or the kind of things that you even fight about. For instance, as children, we believe that our parents are the best things after sliced bread, or even before sliced bread. So I can remember times playing on the street and somebody will come and be like, my father has more power than your father. You can't fight. They cannot. That fight will not end. Who are you? Who is your father? Where did your father come from? Do you understand?
Yes.
So that's the idea. You need to have that strength of belief to back attention, and that gives you sharper focus to execute your goals.
True. So what's the relationship between intention and decision?
Your decision is driven by your intention, and your intention is the strength behind the execution of your decision. So it's
word.
Oh yes. Finish me. Okay. So the idea is you need to arrive at a point where you say, this is what I want. Then that is the decision. Process of moving from that decision to the outcome, then the concept of intention, as we've been speaking about. But you need to get to that point. So you get to that point to tell yourself, oh, I'm no more smoking. And maybe you got there because of the knowledge you got. Probably you saw a loved one die of cancer, of lung cancer. I say, I'm no more smoking. Then the process of having to create a new persona, of trying to create that change, is now the intention.
Yes, but you know that a lot of people, let's use myself and a lot of other young adults and youths that probably listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
They're finding it difficult to get to that point of decision. And so that is why they are hindered from getting intentional. Because I was almost asking, why is that a lot of people are not intentional? Because they have not gotten to that set decision or that set point and say, okay, this is where I want to. They are asking a lot of whys, and I don't even know how to connect the two, but that's where these whys come in. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing that career? Why are you going through that career path? Why are you learning the skill that you're learning? And a whole lot of things. So there's so much confusion at this age. So if these confusions are not, if they're not settled, or if they're not
addressed
down to a common ground, or they're not addressed, thank you so much, then there can be no intention like moving forward, or we can't be intentional about doing what we're doing because we have not answered the whys in our lives. So what do you have to say about that too?
Okay, so first of all, just let me know if I properly summarize what I've heard. You are speaking to the power of people's intention being weakened by the fact that they are
indecisive. Yes.
Lack of clarity, which is
exactly
decisions.
Yes, exactly. And that's that's a major issue in this topic. A very major issue.
So clarity is the question, right? I remember growing, and even while I was in university, most of the time when we wanted to pray, that would always be prayer. Lord, show me my future wife, Clarity. is actually.
And the Lord showed you now.
Oh, hallelujah.
And the Lord showed you.
Yes, thank God. Now, the idea behind clarity, what I'm going to say might seem a bit unconventional, but just flow with me. Who are your teachers?
Okay, that's fine.
Who are your teachers?
Yes, me.
Yeah, that's the question.
My teachers.
Yeah. Who are your teachers?
People that teach me now.
Who do you listen to? What information comes to you?
People that pass knowledge.
Exactly. Now we cannot obtain clarity from social media.
Okay.
Do you understand? So let's begin to address where our issues are. The moment you open up Twitter, the moment you open up Instagram, Facebook, there are a million voices. How many would you listen to?
The one you choose to listen to now.
Because for every
that is somehow on your path.
So the problem of clarity is a problem of mentorship and discipleship.
Okay.
I repeat that again. The problem of clarity is a problem of mentorship and discipleship. There were certain things I could not do in school. At least there was one very good example. You see this thing they call exam malpractice?
Yes.
I couldn't do it. Was it that people did not know that, this is not a good thing to do? Because if you are writing JAMB, this was the JAMB brochure that time in hard copy, they will write everything there, the penalty for exam collusion, as it's called, right from WAEC. But why was it difficult for me? Because my first teacher and principal teacher was my dad. And if there was anything he drummed into my ears, it was, look, it's more honorable to fail than to pass without integrity. So even when in Bio 101, exam was so tough, I said I wanted to turn around and ask a question. Chineye, saliva dried in my throat. I opened my mouth and no sound came out. I'm serious.
Are you serious?
Yes. And I will tell you, it's not a spiritual thing. It is a subconscious thing, because my mind had been hardwired to see it as something that I should not touch at all. It had to manifest when I was not trying to go against that programming. My body had to react physically to tell me that error, syntax error.
Error due to parallax.
Error due to syntax. I don't forget the issue. So can you hear me?
I can, clearly.
So the issue, right, with clarity is an issue of mentorship.
And discipleship.
So because both of them are two sides of the same scale.
Yeah.
If you have a teacher who has taught you or who you have decided to follow, there are times a lot of things are very easy to decide upon. So another example I'll give to you, when I was still a bachelor. I remember walking into a supermarket and I saw a lady and she was reading a book that I had some knowledge on, and I walked up to her and I asked her about the book, and she was all friendly and all. Then the next thing, she asked me what church I went to. And I mentioned the church. She said, if you see the smile just disappeared.
She now backed out.
So I went and I met my friend. I call him Luxman Grandpa, Lucky, my very good friend. And I was like, guy, see my experience. You know what he told me? He said, Chika, there are certain biases we are programmed with that are useful because they help us to filter stuff easily. So you don't need to waste time dancing around certain decisions because you just know that this does not work for me.
Yes, by default, it has been like this.
By default, it's like that.
True.
So the issue with clarity is, where are the teachers? Where are the mentors? If social media is our mentor, right? See what's happening on Twitter, for instance. The people whom we believed in, I don't want to mention names, who we used to hold on to all of their words. Now, scenarios change, and you see them throwing away the same things they were preaching. What do you think would happen to the child or to the youth that is listening to them?
The followers. True.
It's just exactly. Like when people took up the argument of Osita Heme and his friend Chinedu Edeze. That's acting Apoko. Yes, and somebody was saying that how would we package these particular actors, very good actors at that, package them and make them attractive for young minds, you know, because most of the drama they were acting when they started were family dramas everybody sits down and watch, and then you use them to advertise lollipop. Then tomorrow you are bringing them out in another movie where they are smoking cigar. What's the difference now? A young child watching them sees they are celeb with sweet in the mouth. The next moment is cigarette in the mouth. What kind of clarity for the child?
They don't even relate in any way. The only relationship is the stick. That's the relationship.
It's abject confusion. So for me, the truth of the matter is, I think it cannot be overemphasized, right? We are in a generation where there are a lot to learn, but at the same time, there's also a lot of filtering to be done based on your peculiarities. So if at any point you do feel woozy, fuzzy, and unclear about what to do, return to your teachers. Return to those who you believe have you in the best interest and have conversations with them.
That's the question, because some people now, if they are listening to this, they might be return to my teachers. Some people don't actually have like good teachers like you were opportune to have, like your dad.
Yeah.
So and this leaves them in a state of confusion, like I said. So
we have to find them.
How do they cope? Find it if you will.
So what? If you read the scriptures, right? So I'm a Christian. That's why I'm using this example. So it tells you. No. But our audience could be more diverse.
Okay. Yes. True.
I might not be able to give examples based on their philosophy or their own way of life.
Exactly. Yeah.
When I read the scripture, one of the promises I hold on to, I think, comes from Isaiah 30.
Okay.
That you shall walk on this particular path and you shall hear a voice behind you telling you go to the left or to the right. And then there's still another. There's a promise that says that your teacher shall not be cut off from you. And then Paul will tell you about how he is a father and how we have 1,000 instructors. The idea is all through scripture. That's why you see the children of Israel had people like Moses, and after the era of Moses, they had the era of judges, and then the era of the kings, the era of the priests. These are people that are supposed to guide the mindset of the people. And just to be clear, they also don't need to be people. They could also be books. Of an individual who tells me that his idea, or who told me that his entire idea on financial intelligence, his entire idea on finance and investment comes from only one book, The Richest Man in Babylon. That anytime he's unclear about an investment project, he goes back and reads that book from start to finish. And he obtains clarity. So your teachers might not necessarily be people, as much as I would recommend that they should be people. They could actually be books that you have encountered. There could be any sort of material. There could be a visual material that you have encountered. Like I do that there are certain movies that I've seen that changed my worldview forever. Right? So that's the idea.
Yeah.
You need to always have that. So for me, I would tell you, look, Jesus is the anchor. He's unshakable. But if you do not agree to that way of life, we can have a further conversation after that. If you don't agree to that, look for that teacher. And you need it. Because when you step out into the world, there's 1,000,001 things that have been said. And if you're a public speaker, like I and Chineye, one of the things they'll tell you is the power of simplicity. How can you tell your story and you don't pass 3 points? Because the moment you go beyond that, you're already creating confusion. So I think I'd like to leave it there.
True. Okay. There's no problem. You can match break there.
No.
Okay, so thank you so much, Uncle C. mean, like there's a lot. So clarity is one major thing. Now, just know that everybody that's listening to this just get clarity. So from humans, movies, anything. So anything at all that you feel you have this peace of mind and there's something different about that thing, I think you should just hold on to it. And the Lord will perfect everything in His time. So, okay, Uncle C. So it's almost as though everything that has importance and advantage has disadvantage. I don't know if you're seeing lies with me. So, is there any disadvantage to intention or to being intentional?
So the disadvantage will be, what is your goal, right? If your goal is not favorable to the public, if it's not favorable to the public good, then whatever the process of intention is definitely not going to be okay. So a good example is, you take for instance the shootings in America. So somebody sits up and says, "Oh, I'm going to shoot up an elementary school or a high school," and the person goes into participating in the activities that will make that successful. He or she goes and buys guns, learns how to shoot, plans the opening and closing times of the school. There's intentionality there, but what's the final outcome? So one thing we always need to ask ourselves, like in my church last week, part of what my pastor taught us, because I go to Celebration Church, Port Harcourt, part of what the pastor taught us was about living.
Oh, are you serious, Pastor? Are you read?
Yeah.
Wow,
So part of what we were taught last week was living life purposefully, and trying to help us understand that there is a difference between a career path, an assignment, and purpose. And as a Christian, you have a singular purpose, and that purpose is actually to bring the kingdom of God down. That you have been reconciled to God, and now your purpose is to reconcile others unto God through Jesus Christ. Do you understand? Now, what's that speaking to? Because recently, when I read through the books of Ephesians, Philippians, Galatians, you realize that Paul kept speaking about the Christian conduct. How do you conduct yourself in the public place? How do you conduct yourself with your brothers? How do you conduct yourself with people who are not like you? So whatever outcome, just to define it in a secular manner, whatever outcome that does not drive public good would definitely be powered by a twisted and warped intention. So let us also try, because where we are now as a people in Nigeria, we've gotten polarized to believe that certain outcomes should be achieved regardless of what happens to the people around us. So you hear all kind of weird stories about people trying to murder their mothers in Owerri because G-boy. Right? So the outcome there is you want to make money, but the process you are following, the intention you are keeping to achieve that outcome is wrong, it's twisted.
It's wrong,
so
exactly.
I was ask is, why do you want to make money in the first place? And then is your process correct? Because evil begets evil, right? So when you do one, what you are simply doing is you are giving birth to another monster that will grow up.
Exactly.
And then another monster will be birthed.
And it's passed generation after generation. It's passed like a battle.
Exactly. So it becomes an issue.
Okay. So let's bring it down to you again as a person once again, because I wanted to ask this question, but it looks like you already shared one particular story. But they said that intention provides accountability and allows you to take control of your personal choices and life. So can you share with us another story? Because I know you already shared one. Just share another story, because people believe strongly in storytelling, and it will really inspire and motivate people outside there that are listening to this podcast. So can you just share a scenario of any point in your life, your career, that has encompassed or shown the power of intention and you being intentional?
So there are actually a number of points that has happened. I think one that I'm really proud of was actually going on part-time master studies, because I had to be on my job while still going to school for 3 years. And during that period, by God's grace, I was still able to keep up my performance on my job and was able to graduate with a good degree from my master's program. What happened there was a set goal. And that goal was properly defined because the first thing is I told myself I wasn't going to take a sabbatical. I told myself I needed the money I was getting on the job. So I needed to do my job well. And I also needed to get this certificate because I initially had a goal of becoming a doctor at 25 or something, but that didn't work. I had to change that, right? But for this master's, I said, since there is this option of distance learning, I needed to make the best use of it. That was a decision. And then the intention around it was, I had to study. I had to go down to Olu Obasanjo, that's the British consulate, to write my exams every 3 months or something.
Okay.
And I had to rework my finances so I can be able to have money to pay my school fees. And inside of all of that, I got married. You get, inside of all of that, I needed to also plan my time. So I needed to still have fun. I needed to still woo and seduce my wife. And then still pass my exam. Do you understand? So I think the idea was I had that mindset that, look, I really needed to get this degree. I really needed to further my personal development, add something else to what I had done in Fruto while studying materials and metallurgy, get a degree that substantiates me. That I'm just saying decision process that substantiates me within the field that I was playing as an asset integrity manager. And I followed through on that because the power behind the intention was my mindset. I saw that this was what I needed to do. So even when things were so tight, like there was a period when time was so choking, I was planning my wedding and then my exams was there. I told myself, I was going to even reschedule. But I had friends who held me accountable to also say, no, you have to do this. If you don't do this, it's going to affect you.
Yes.
So they brought that clarity for me. So those guys were my teachers at that particular point. But when I was feeling all fuzzy, how am I going to manage this? How am I going to run my exams? How am I going to do my job and still arrange my wedding? Because they're all big projects there. They made it
exactly
that you can still do this. And I followed on that. And today, I completed it. Right?
Please.
So it's always going... Yeah. So it's always going to be tough.
Yes.
I think it's expected. Because if it's not tough, you don't have time to reflect. When something is hard, you now cry. When you now cry, now be like, is this still real? Should I really continue? The answer you get at those moments become milestones for you. They become cornerstones. They become what helps you even later on. Yes, in your future. So don't beat up yourself when you find yourself breaking down. You are all tears and your nose is running. Because it's useful. It's very useful.
That means adulthood is not scam now.
Oh no. It's not. It's not. I really don't even understand the meaning of that statement. Right? Let's look at the intention behind that statement.
Yes.
Every time you open a social media page that tries to speak to adults in a scam, what do you hear? You just hear things like, I have to spend so much. I have to be accountable for myself. I have to be responsible for
so much responsibility.
Myself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you would ask yourself, why don't you want to be responsible for yourself?
True.
How does it make adulting a scam? And then maybe just to pay a little credibility, from my own personal experience, I know as a younger chap, you cannot go out and come back at your own given time and things like that. So for the sake of freedom, everybody talks about this freedom. And maybe it should be something we should reflect on and see if we can apply in other areas of our life. We talk about freedom and we think, when I become an adult, I become free. How many decisions in your life have you made because you think, it's going to make you free? Even that money you're chasing. Times you say, more money will make me free. And at the end of the day, you become a slave to that money. I use controlled substances, I take illegal substances, or I participate in a lot of activities, maybe some sexual proclivities, because I feel that I'm free, I'm expressing my freedom, and then it becomes an addiction. I am no longer free. Maybe the real scam here is chasing after that freedom that really does not exist, or not adulthood. Because at the end of the day, we all have to play our part. So there's a time one have to clean me up, I have to clean other people up, right?
True. Exactly. I was even having a conversation with someone about this, and the person said almost like same thing with you. He said, if you don't want to struggle now, so like when are you going to struggle? Because they're like, nobody, if he asks me if he don't job. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to remember the lyrics of that song. But it's something like nobody cares about you. Like, then when we're much younger, I take and buy this, you take money. Even when you don't ask for it, I take 500, 1,000. You're already taking so much money. But now, when you beg it, I need money, like I want to eat. You understand that? So that's the kind of mindset people have, and that's why maybe to them it's a scam. But the person said, this is the time for you to actually like struggle. Some people that we see there now that are at the top, you understand? Maybe they are now living their life, relaxing and they have everything figured out. Don't forget that they also had
nobody has everything.
They had to do all of those things.
Nobody has everything figured out. Nobody has everything.
Yeah, okay. Yes, but I'm trying to say that them too, they also had a place where they had to go through all of that we are calling a scam in adulthood. Yeah, but we don't want to see that part. We just want, I don't know, maybe we just want a jolly life, jollification life, sort of.
Which is not a bad thing. Which is not a bad thing. The only issue is in defining the idea of culture. Language has always been very, like there's a movie I really enjoy a lot. That movie was titled Hero. Jet Li acted in it. So why? Because it provided some historical context to some of the to the political evolution of China, because China had a lot of wars. So I remember when the king was talking about the king then, I think they were referring to whom the Chinese history refers to as the Dragon King, was speaking about bringing everything under heaven. And he was talking about how, there were so many languages and so many languages in China, but when you have a supreme ruler, you can align all of those things and then have people focused as one body to achieve outcomes. So why I took this detour is that language is always very important, because when you want a thing to be true, all you need to do is repeat it. Keep repeating it. Keep saying it. So if we keep thinking about how accountability in adulthood is what makes adulthood a scam, or responsibility in adulthood makes adulthood a scam, we are speaking words that those coming after us are hearing. What kind of adults then would they be? Would they now be adults that would detest their positions as adults when the time comes? But there is no worse sadness than when you are in a particular position, you hate everything about being in that position, but you cannot leave that position at that time. So does that mean you will never be happy? And that's what we're having. We have a lot of people suffering from depression. You go to more developing countries, people are committing suicide. It's because of that form of unhappiness. There is this language that we have extended to let people believe that there's always a better place than where you are. So you are constantly batteries in your mind that it affects the quality of your life in the present. So we need to always be careful, right? What we speak, what language we accept. Because it essentially determines your mindset, and your mindset is what affects your decision, your intention, and after
your actions, everything.
Exactly.
Wow. What an amazing session so far. But let's just ask the last question before we call this a wrap. So lastly, what's your advice to young people out there concerning being intentional and the power of it? as well as asking the whys moving forward in life. Because I think another phase of intention is also the whys, like questioning yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? So like you can just give us like, a fatherly advice on being intentional, the power of it, and then asking the importance of asking whys in your life moving forward.
Okay. I'm going to give another example from a movie that I saw.
Okay.
I title the movie, I can't do. All right. But there was a particular point where one of the characters was speaking to how everything was in flux. And that character lacked stability. So this other person gave an illustration, which is what I want to borrow here. She said, do you know figure skaters? Have you seen a figure skater before? Those guys that would move on an ice rink on skates, roller blade skates.
Ice skaters, I mean.
Yes, then they can jump and spin and tumble.
Okay, yeah.
So, the question you need to ask yourself is, how do they do it? Because if Chineye stands now and turns 2 times.
Let who stand first.
I don't know where the carry me go. I don't know where they go. They carry me go where I don't know.
They carry me go where I know.
Guys would make spins and turns and still land solidly on their feet, gracefully. And she said it's because in their training, one of the things they do is why they do those stunts, they are taught to place their focus on an anchor. Anything in their environment that would not move. So no matter how much they spin, as long as their eyes remains on that unmovable object, it helps them retain their balance.
Let me adjust with.
Do you understand that? It helps them retain their balance.
Yes.
That singular focus. And it's quite unfortunate that I don't know if growing up, a lot of our parents spend time to speak to us about purpose, because many at times what we are spoken to is about career. You want to be a doctor, engineer. And when those things,
lawyer.
When by SS3 are writing JAMB is moving from medicine, now you come microbiology.
Lab.
Then you get confused. That's where the anxiety starts from. You are now confused. Because just tell us, I'm not even doing what I wanted to do, blah, blah, blah. And all of those confusions begin to affect your mind. Find something that doesn't move and hold on to it. For some of us, is the word of God and Jesus. It does not move. Anyhow we want to turn, even if we go into the world and enter shit, Jesus.
Yes.
Right? But if that is not what you agree to, find something.
Find an anchor.
If you believe in yourself, it could be a talent you have that you know that this world must see. Hold on to it. So if every other thing is turning, you know that this is where you are going. So no matter how it turns, your tracking system, your internal monitoring system should not be like a GPS, where it tells you turn left, you now see that left is blocked, you follow somewhere else, then the GPS recalculates immediately and says, all right, you have turned right, now you are going to turn right again, then turn left, then go straight, and you are still headed for the same outcome.
It's just like that Igbo slang, Agaracha must come back. No matter where you go, anyhow, you shall reach that place that you're meant to be.
Yes. So find, for some people, their anchor is that, look, they want to be free. They want to be able to manage their time. So when you read a book, it's a very nice book. It's titled So Good. Let me find the original title. So Good. that they cannot ignore you.
Okay, be so good that it cannot be ignored. Okay.
Yeah, so good they can't ignore you. By Carl Jung. He tells stories of people who were able to find those anchors. So there's a professor who says, look, he has to produce a book every other year. So because of that, he does not have time to be doing HOD. If they give HOD, you not collect. You not collect. Because he believes that what gives him that satisfaction, that professional satisfaction, is that I publish a technical paper every year. All those administrative work, you know, concern. For someone like me, closely tied to my anchor of God, right, is the idea that when the righteous rule, the people are happy. So as you see, I am in love with anything politics, right from school. Because I believe that when the right kind of person is in leadership, things will definitely change. And that's one of the major, when I talk about the major stories of my intentionality, I got work. I started working back in 2014, of July 1st, 2014. And I noticed some things. I noticed that, look, first, I think my philosophy that period was how everybody's like a planet, revolving in their own sphere of influence. And then at times you can interact with it, you know, due to any opportunity that arises, and then you guys can go your separate ways. In that same way, I realized that even in the company that I was, there were all kinds of people. There were those that were on management track that would grow to the highest, you know. There were those that were technical experts. Then there were those that became pastors. You know, all kinds of people. And then I found out that there was also an avenue to run for elected position within my organization and achieve some form of leadership and lead people and achieve outcomes. So I told myself I was going to run. For 4 years now, I have been running every year since 2019. I've been running for elections, and by God's grace, I've been winning. Now, because of when I wanted to start, I had a particular place that I wanted to go. There was a particular organization within my organization that I wanted to belong to. But I needed to prove myself in somewhere else. So my intention led me to running somewhere else and doing good work there. And based on the work that I did there, somebody took me and said, let me introduce you to someone. As he introduced me to that person liked me and liked what the value I was going to bring to the table, and brought me into his organization, and now finally into one of the organizations that I was interested in. So the power of intentionality is the power of creation. Because when your mind is focused sharp, like I always tell people every time, I'm going to become the president of this country. So anything, even if I hear Boko Haram here, IPOB here, I know Nigeria cannot disintegrate because my focus is so strong on it. Nigeria will be one, and Obani Chika David will be declared president. So we are going to do work.
Uncle Steve, Vice President.
You understand?
Yes.
That's it. That's it. So let's pick an anchor and hold on. You know, no matter what.
The power of intention is the power of creation.
Yes.
Uncle C, steadily blowing my mind. Thank you so much, Uncle C. Thank you so much, Uncle C. I mean, like, I'm sure that a lot of people that was outstanding in today's session was the mindset. And if that is clarified or addressed, a lot of people become more intentional about what they're doing. So I really hope that this episode is going to touch a lot of people's life and make them change their mindset. Like you said, when you were about getting your COS, and there was an already existing a narrative that this thing cannot happen, this, that. And so many people have their own stories on how if you don't, first class people, they don't get jobs. So there's this narrative, just come out with your 2-1 in peace. There are so many other narratives that we need to debunk, to be honest. And if we do that, we will become more and more intentional about our lifestyle and everything that happens in our lives. So thank you so much, Uncle C. God bless you and keep you. Thank you so much, sir.
Obrigado.
Thank you. Because I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, sir.